Welcome to the video, guys. It's been a long time since I've posted anything, but let's get right into this. Nothing ever really does feel good enough to you, does it? Like, no matter what you do, nothing ever has a lasting sense of peace or accomplishment. The feeling of extreme burnout, like you've reached a dead-end point and you have nowhere else to turn, or you'll be met with uncomfortable decisions. I know this feeling all too well, and it's there to tell us something, to be a key into the truth, and this is not a feeling to push off. And the question is, are you going to distract yourself from answering the hard questions, or are you finally going to answer the questions that help you solve this? Today's video, I got a few points and questions that will help you dive deep into why you're struggling with this issue. Let's get into it. So basically what we're all kind of experiencing, fact being that you've opened this video out of some interest or want for help, that we're kind of stuck in the loop of what is pain and which we can't get out of it, and a lot of things that we've done to try to figure it out haven't worked. So in order for us to get help in the troubles that we have to first identify what those troubles are. Because we can't have change without the capacity to understand what we need to change in the first place. So if you're starting off with the feeling of feeling like anything that you do isn't enough and you're stuck there, the big issue is that at your core, it may be very well true that you do not value yourself. You don't understand your own self-worth. And because of that, we have connected ourselves to the mindset that we must perform, we must achieve something in order to feel worth. And that's where that feeling of something's not good enough comes from. And what happens is we may be achieving things like when we were kids, in which this is where this all kind of stems from, is somewhere in our childhood, we learned to value achievement in order to feel worth. I don't know if that comes from parental guidance, who we were around in school, or whatever we developed in our own minds. But basically, we would achieve things, or can achieve things, in which we have been, and we stay disciplined or consistent with it, but it never feels like enough. And this is because we keep moving the goalpost and we compare ourselves to other people, social media, and as soon as we get to whatever we're trying to achieve, we set a new goal and don't spend enough time actually being grateful for where we are. I think the biggest thing that kind of sucks with all this is that when we were young enough to believe this lie, we were taught that, we learned that early achievements would bring validation or bring a feeling of happiness and made us feel like we were worth something. And so the feeling never lasted once you grew and kept adding more things in front of your goalpost. And because that feeling never lasted, you assumed you needed something bigger to make you actually feel worthy. Now, this is where I'd like to start labeling the things that we are experiencing here. I call it the performance treadmill, and basically in one way or another we started to feel a few things. We start to feel burnout because we are trying so endlessly and with all our energy to try to achieve things in order to feel our own worth, and no matter what it is that we do, it's not enough. So we feel burnt out, and because we're burnt out, then we stop achieving things and we keep stacking on things onto our plate to try to achieve. But we can't achieve it because we're burnt out. And then that causes another domino to fall, in which we start disconnecting from ourselves because we require achievement in order to feel worth. So we disassociate because we can't feel anything because we're not worth something in our own system. So because of that, we look for easy outs, easy distractions, TikTok, porn, whatever the fuck it is in your life that distracts you from the fact that you're not worth something, you're not achieving. And all this comes back down to is our foundation of self-worth. And we're struggling to be present with our actual lives. And we're making bad decisions in order to try to heal things temporarily without actually facing the hard questions. So these things cycle us, and basically our brains don't conclude that the system is broken. We keep thinking that we need more achievement in order to feel anything. We're literally running faster to stay in the same emotional place, and it never works. What's really happening is the gap between achievement and feeling worthy never closes because we're solving the wrong problem. It's kind of a sick, shitty situation, and you can look at it in a lot of ways. As soon as you start realizing that the system's broken, your identity of how you work is broken. It's kind of shocking, and it can cause ego death, it can cause pain, it can cause you to try and look for help. To me, it caused pain, ego death. It caused me to go be curious, to look for what's actually wrong. I used AI to help, I used friends to help, whatever it took to actually figure out what's going on. And I'll say this, a lot of us don't spend a lot of time actually looking at the spiritual side or our own spirits at our core and actually being honest with ourselves. But to live a fulfilling life and a true life, one that isn't some made-up dead-end type of life that you're just kind of surviving in, these are the questions and things that we need to dive into to actually get to the fulfilling life. And you have to have two types of things in your mind going forward from this point. One, the attitude and the want to figure this out. If you don't want that, then I'm sorry, it's probably not going to happen until you actually do find that motivation. You need your own driving force. It's not going to be somebody else to drive you, because nobody's coming to save us. We're the only ones that are going to figure it out. And honestly, there is a good feeling in achieving this type of in-depth work for yourself. And it's fine to go find help to try to decipher stuff, but other people can't do the exact work for you, because everybody's different. And the second thing, on top of your want to actually solve this, you have to put in the effort, because everybody is different. I can only point you so far from my own experiences and knowledge, but you might have to go past that and look for yourself. But let's dive into why this type of mindset and this broken system doesn't work. Alright guys, so the reason none of this really works, the system that's been broken for us, is the core principle of why and how we're measuring our own self-worth. But what we have to realize is that our worth is inherent. It's not earned at all in any way. It stays equal, it never changes in value. It's just is worth something. And a lot of us might come to this realization in a lot of different ways. And for me, I'll tell in a bit how I got to that point. But to kind of recap on what it is that we've been looking at with our method of validation. Achievement is an external type of validation, and it's not found from within us. It's gathered anywhere else, from other people, things we do, and basically it's external validation for internal emptiness. And I'm sure we've heard that before. This is all what I like to call the Sith mode approach. And to wrap into what we're kind of talking about, it's, oh, I'm gonna force my way through working for this goal or objective or whatever it is, and then I'll feel achievement. But we all very well know that hasn't worked yet. And what happens is we hit that milestone and we still feel exhausted and empty. So something's gotta change, right? So I think what we really need to talk about next is the real cost of all this type of loop. And what I'm gonna talk about is my own cost, what I have experienced. And that is over the last probably 7 years, probably longer than that, I've had that mindset, the performance identity of attaching my self-worth to my achievement in every single little part of my life. And maybe I was strong enough to keep going longer than I thought. I took on goals, achievements, and objectives that were surrounded by those performance points. Like, for example, my trying to get into the Air Force. That type of life is completely surrounded by performance checks. Your body has to be in a good condition. Your mental state even has to be higher than that. And it kind of clicked with me because it was just how I worked. What I did start to see is that I was starting to get into severe burnout because it was my entire life, and that's not healthy for anyone. And I just kept going and going and going, and once Air Force dropped me because of my health allergy, I had to find something else to attach to for my achievement to feel worthy. And that this, YouTube, every single little piece of my life, like I said before, going anywhere, even people I was in relationships with, it's just how I saw the world. It's how I identified everything. And most recently, this year, especially this summer, I got into a job that I felt dead-end, or it felt like a dead-end job. And to be real, it kind of was, but it was how I identified it as, because it did not click with the things that I actually wanted in life, but I needed money. And what ended up happening was I got into an extreme burnout and started dissociating because I wasn't achieving anything that I actually wanted to achieve, because I sacrificed my dreams and what I actually cared about for money. So that didn't help either. Also, watching porn does not help you replenish your self in a good way. It distracts you and creates an unrealistic vision for how your life actually should look and how your relationships should look. And that really did degrade my own relationships and myself, and just haven't known anything different. So I got to a point where I had to ask myself, after losing somebody that I really cared about, which ended up being my catalyst in all this, to start me on this rebuilding of a new identity. I asked myself the question, if I lost and failed at everything I was trying to achieve in life, everything, got my dream car, built my favorite house, had the woman of my dreams, had kids, built all the companies I wanted, had an amazing YouTube channel, I failed at all those things, would I still love myself? And being in a place where I was desperate for change because I had been in this cycle for years, I thought, if you can't answer that as yes, then right there is the issue. And that's really where it all changed. So I answered that question as yes, and everything started clicking thereon. It is crazy that things happen in their own time, and that this had to happen to me. But I'm happy it did, because now I can help you guys. All right, so given my own stories, my own recollection of stuff, what actually works? And this has taken me quite a bit of understanding and thinking and work to figure out, but we have to form our way of life, right? A new identity. And basically that means we have to build a foundation, right, of that identity. And that identity foundation has to be built off the fact that our self-worth is inherent. You start worthy, not you become worthy. And that's our foundation. And after that, we have to have a practice, right? How do we practice this new way of life? Practice it by presence and by doing things that actually excite you, things that you actually want to do. And basically after doing these two things, we learned that in practicing presence after coming out of this type of mindset can definitely be hard. Finding instances and places where you see yourself shifting into, oh, what can I do next? Try asking yourself, what do I actually need and want? It can mean simply just you need some more rest. I actually find myself needing that a whole lot more when I actually ask myself that question, because when I would need rest, I would just fucking do something else to make myself feel worthy instead of actually giving my body what it needs. Because at the end of the day, it's much better for you to actually have everything that you need and go about doing something smoothly and with your whole self than to do it forcibly. And you actually start asking yourself, what do I want to build? What do I want to do? And after you've started to ask yourself those questions and you've rested up and you feel fulfilled and met to your own needs, you might start finding that you ask yourself the question of, what do I want to build, create, and do? And you'll find that achievement after this whole identity shift can actually be enjoyable, and it's not like forced, annoying action. Just remember, self-worth, inherent self-worth, and self-compassion is your foundation, and presence is your practice. And some other things that might help you too are noticing when you start to move the goalpost again, when you do start building, or when you even take a rest or eat. You're like, oh, I need to eat this amount of food, or I need to rest for this certain amount of time. If there is no time limit, don't create a time limit for yourself. Just actually rest. Remember to ask yourself, do you actually want this, whatever it is you're actually working towards? Not, am I doing it for someone else or to make myself feel worthy? Because it's not going to help you. You're building from worth, not towards it. And with this, you start to enjoy the work itself and not just aim for the finish line. And remember with the sum of all of this, that this isn't about stopping achievement. It's about untangling how we see and work with our own worth so that we can actually enjoy what we do and live a non-exhausting life. Otherwise, we're just going to be grinding forever, waiting for a feeling that achievement will never give us. Thanks for watching to the end of this video. Really appreciate you. If you like what you saw, like and subscribe. I'm going to be dropping some more content similar to this. We're going to be making a series kind of about rebuilding yourself. Season 4 of my videos, basically. And while I'm rebuilding myself, I don't 100% know what my timeline with videos will be. I think at the very least it will be once a month, I'll say that. But I really want to make good videos for you guys, so I'm taking all the steps I can to try to get to that point. Sorry, I'm like chattering, it's fucking cold out. But I'll do my best. And I know I'm enjoying this process a whole lot more than I used to. And I just got 2 main points with YouTube going forward: to make videos that I enjoy and creating them, and to follow along doing this content of physical, mental, and spiritual help for anyone that needs it. All right, guys, that's the end of the video. Keep pushing your limits. I'll see you in the next one.